you. Whoa. Let me thank all of you. Let me thank all of you. This is a fantastic turnout. Let me thank Senator Quezada for his warm introduction and his touching on some of the major issues facing this state and this country. As I look around here, I see a lot of energy, I see a lot of beauty, I see a lot of enthusiasm. And I see a lot of people who want to transform the United States of America. We began this campaign about 10 months ago. When we began, we were at 3% in the polls, about 70 points behind Secretary Clinton. We had no money, we had no political organization, we didn't have much name recognition. In the last 10 months, a lot has changed. And the reason I think that we are doing so well, that we have so much energy, that in state after state, we win people 45 years of age or younger, the future of America. A report just came out yesterday, and it said that Bernie Sanders has received more votes from people under 30 than Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump combined. And I get my inspiration, I get my energy from you. I get my energy and inspiration from people who have an idealism, who want to transform this country and make it a lot better than it is today. Now, the reason I believe we have so much energy and we're doing so well is because we're doing something very unusual in American politics. We are telling the truth. Now, as you all know, the truth is not always pleasant. Sometimes it's harsh. Sometimes it's hurtful. But unless we understand the reality in front of us and not shove it under the rug, unless we are prepared to deal with that reality, there is no hope for change. And here is some of that reality. Number one, today we live in a country in which our campaign finance system is corrupt and it is undermining American democracy. And this is no small thing. The concept of democracy is not complicated. What it means is you have one vote, and you have one vote, and you have one vote. What it does not mean is that people with unlimited amounts of money should be able to buy elections. That is not democracy. It does not mean that billionaires like the Koch brothers and others should be able to spend $900 million in this campaign cycle to buy politicians who will represent the rich and the powerful. That is not democracy, that is oligarchy. And together, we are going to stand firm. This country will not become an oligarchic society. But it is not just a corrupt campaign finance system which is undermining our democracy. What we are seeing now all over this country are cowardly Republican governors trying to suppress the vote. As a nation, we have one of the lowest voter turnout rates of any major country on earth. Our job is to increase voter turnout, make it easier for people to participate. And yet today, we have Republican governors who are trying in every way imaginable to make it harder for poor people, for people of color, for young people, for old people to participate. And I say to those cowardly governors, if you don't have the guts to participate in free and fair elections, get another job. And if elected president, you can bet your bottom dollar that we're going to have a Department of Justice which will vigorously take on every one of these governors. What I want to see in this country is something simple and straightforward. And that is, if you are 18 years of age or older, you are registered to vote. End of discussion. But in addition to the fact that we have a corrupt campaign finance system, there is something else that we have got to address, and address in a very straightforward way, and that is that we have a rigged economy. Now, the television stations and the corporate media do not deal with this issue very much. But let me tell you what a rigged economy is about. What a rigged economy means is that today the top 0.1% now owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. It means that the 20 wealthiest people in this country now own more wealth than the bottom 150 million, half of our country. And let me give you another example of what a rigged economy is about. Turns out that the wealthiest family in this country is the Walton family, who owns Walmart. As many of you know, Walmart pays wages that are so low that many of its workers are forced to go on Medicaid, food stamps, subsidized housing. What a rigged economy is about is when working people have got to pay more in taxes to provide food stamps for the employees of the wealthiest family in America. That is a rigged economy, and I say to the Walton family, get off of welfare, pay your workers a living wage. And here is another truth that we cannot continue to avoid. In this country today, we have more people in jail than any other country on earth. And I understand that in your state, incarceration is a very big and profitable business. Well, we are going to end that in a number of ways. Number one, we are going to do away with private prisons, private detention centers. It is unconscionable that corporations are making money by locking people up. That's wrong. Number two, we're going to do our best to make sure that when young people in this country can't find a job or can't stay in school, we're going to invest in jobs and education, not jails and incarceration. I want this country, and what this campaign is about is thinking outside of the box. Do not allow the media or anybody else to define for you what is possible. You do that. And what is possible is having the best educated country in the world, not the country with more people in jail. And together, we are going to demilitarize local police departments. Police departments should not look like occupying armies. They should be part of the community, not oppressing the community. We are going to make police departments look like the diversity of the communities they serve. All of us are tired of looking at TV and seeing images of unarmed people being shot by police officers. I'm a former mayor, Burlington, Vermont. All right. And I have worked with police departments for many, many years, and the vast majority of police officers are honest, hardworking, and they have a very difficult job. But like any other public official, when a police officer breaks the law, that officer must be held accountable. And a President Sanders Justice Department will investigate every death that takes place in police custody or during apprehension. Criminal justice reform means that we have to take a hard look at the failed war on drugs. Over the last 30 years, millions of Americans have received police records for possession of marijuana. And if you have a police record, it is sometimes very hard to get a job. And if you can't get a job and earn income, you're going to do something that gets you into trouble. Now, right now, under the Federal Controlled Substance Act, marijuana is listed as a Schedule I drug alongside heroin. Now, everybody here knows that heroin is a killer drug. Now, scientists can argue about the pluses and minuses of marijuana, but marijuana is not heroin. And that is why I have introduced legislation to take marijuana out of the Federal Controlled Substance Act. Now, as all of you know, the decision about whether or not marijuana becomes legalized is a state decision, not a federal decision. But I believe that possession of marijuana should not be a federal crime. And when we talk about drugs and the danger of drugs, in my state of Vermont, nearby New Hampshire, and in states all over this country, we are facing an epidemic and a crisis of heroin addiction, of opiate addiction, of people dying every day from overdoses. In my view, we have got to treat substance abuse not as a criminal issue, but a health issue. We need a revolution in mental health care in this country. When people are struggling with a mental health crisis or with addiction, they should be able to get the treatment they need today, not 6 months from today. Now, let me just take a moment. All of you know that I'm running against Secretary Hillary Clinton. Let me just take a moment to explain or express to you some of the strong differences that we have on important issues. First, when I began this campaign, we had no money, and we had to make a very important decision. Should we establish a super PAC? Well, we agreed with you. This campaign This campaign does not represent the interests of the billionaire class or Wall Street. We don't want their money. So we did it another way. And what we did is we reached out to the middle class and working families, and what happened is literally mind-blowing. I could never in a million years believe that this would happen, but as of today, we have received well over 5 million individual contributions. That is more contributions than any candidate in the history of this country at this point in the election. Anybody here know what the average contribution is? That's right, $27. Now, this in itself is revolutionary because it shows that we can run a winning national campaign without being dependent on Wall Street and big money interests. To paraphrase Abraham Lincoln at Gettysburg, this is a campaign of the people, by the people, and for the people. Now, what that means, when you're not dependent on big money interest, you can do what is right for working people. I don't have to worry about some billionaire or Wall Street guy calling me up because we don't have their money, we don't want their money, we don't need their money. Now, Secretary Clinton has chosen to go another route in terms of how she raises money. She has several super PACs. The largest one recently reported that it has raised $25 million in special interest money, $15 million from Wall Street alone. Now, as some of you may also know, Secretary Clinton has given speeches on Wall Street for $225,000 a speech. Now, what I have said is if you're going to be paid $225,000 for a speech, it must be an extraordinarily brilliant speech. It must be a speech that could transform our country and the world. It must be a Shakespearean type speech. And if that speech is so great, let the American people see it. Second issue, all of you know that foreign policy is a very important part of what a president does. The most important foreign policy debate in the modern history of this country took place in 2002. Now, I listened very carefully to what President Bush and Vice President Cheney and all these guys had to say. And they were saying, we got to invade Iraq, we got to invade Iraq, we got to invade Iraq. I didn't believe them. And I voted against that disastrous war. Then Senator Clinton heard the same arguments, read the same information. She voted for that disastrous war. When we talk about why the middle class of this country has been disappearing for 30 years, why many millions of workers today are working longer hours for lower wages, a lot of that has to do with horrific trade policies written by corporate America. Since the year 2001, this country has lost 60,000 factories and millions of decent-paying jobs. I have opposed every one of these trade agreements, NAFTA, CAFTA, PNTR with China. Secretary Clinton has supported virtually all of those corporately written trade agreements. Now, one of the reasons that our campaign is doing so well is that we are not listening to big money campaign contributors. We are listening to the American people. And this is what the American people are telling me. If they are workers, they are saying they can't make it on $8 or $9 or $10 an hour. They are tired of working and not going anywhere. And that is why we need to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Now, I understand that you have a governor here who is trying to make it harder to raise the minimum wage. That is exactly the wrong thing to do. This campaign is listening to senior citizens and disabled veterans. And I know that Arizona has a whole lot of men and women who have put their lives on the line to defend us, and we thank them all. But here is the truth. No senior citizen or disabled vet can live on $11,000 or $12,000 a year Social Security. Unbelievably, we got Republicans in Congress who want to cut Social Security. Well, I've got bad news for them. We're not going to cut Social Security. We're going to expand Social Security benefits. This campaign is listening to young people. And what young people are telling me is, Bernie, we were told that it was the right thing to do to go to college or graduate school. You told us how important it is for us to get the best education we can. Why is it that when we leave school, we are $30,000 or $50,000 in debt? Anybody here with student debt? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Now, I want you to think outside of the box again. Think outside of the status quo. You all know that we live in a very competitive global economy. We need to have the best educated workforce in the world. And you all know that many of the new jobs being created today require a lot more education than the jobs of the past. Now, for a very long time, when we thought about public education, what we talked about was first grade through 12th grade. And that was great 50 years ago. But the world has changed, the economy has changed, technology has changed. In my view, when we talk about public education today, what we've got to be talking about is making public colleges and universities tuition free. This is not a radical idea, all right? The world has changed. Our educational system has to change with it. Other countries, and I know that you all know this, other countries, Germany, Scandinavia, they do that. They provide free college education because they know that investing in their young people is what will make their economy strong. And the other issue is that millions of people, some young and some not so young, are really being crushed with high levels of student debt. And what we have got to do is to say to those people, you will be able to refinance that debt at the lowest interest rates you can find. Now, I am criticized by the establishment, by my opponent. Bernie, this is a very expensive proposition. You want to have public colleges and universities tuition free. You want to significantly lower student debt. That's about $70 billion a year. That's a lot of money. How are you going to pay for it? I will tell you how we're going to pay for it. This is how we are going to pay for it. Remember 8 years ago, when the greed and recklessness and illegal behavior of Wall Street drove this economy into the worst economic downturn since the 1930s, Congress bailed out Wall Street. Well, it seems to me that now is the time to impose a tax on Wall Street speculation. The middle class of this country bailed out the crooks on Wall Street. Now it is Wall Street's time to help the middle class of this country. All right. This campaign is listening. This campaign is listening to our brothers and sisters in the Latino community. And what the Latino community is telling me is that they are tired of 11 million people, 11 million people in this country who are undocumented, who are living in the shadows, who are living in fear, who are living with a great deal of exploitation. And what the Latino community is telling me, that now is the time for comprehensive immigration reform and a path towards citizenship. Now, in a democracy, people can agree or disagree with immigration reform or anything else. But what people cannot do, what Donald Trump cannot do, is engage in bigotry, engage in vicious insults against our Mexican neighbors. That is not acceptable, and we will not tolerate it. And if Congress does not do its job, I will use the executive office and the powers of the presidency to do everything that I can to see that families are united, not separated. And our Department of Justice will take a very hard look at what Sheriff Arpaio and people like him are doing. I am the son of an immigrant. My father came from Poland, and he came to this country not knowing one word of English, so I have some experience with the immigrant family situation. I am tired of seeing young people with tears running down their cheeks, worried that their parents or their brother or their sister will be deported. We're going to put an end to deportations. This campaign is listening to our brothers and sisters in the Native American community. You know, there is no group of people in our country today who have contributed more to our culture, to our respect for the environment than have the Native American community. And I don't have to tell anybody here that from the first days of when the settlers came to this continent, they cheated the Native American people, they lied to the Native American people, they broke treaties with the Native American people, and today what we are seeing in community after community of Native Americans is outrageously high levels of unemployment, of poverty, of alcoholism, of suicide, of kids dropping out of high school. It is time for the United States government to treat the Native American tribes with respect and dignity. And that is what I will do as President of the United States. I am a member of the U.S. Senate Committee on the Environment. And let me tell you what virtually no Republican will tell you. And that is that the debate is over. Climate change is real. Climate change is caused by human activity, and climate change is already causing devastating problems in this country and around the world. And let me tell you what the scientists are also saying, and that is if we do not get our act together, if we do not transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy, a bad situation today will become a lot worse. What the scientists tell us, if we do not act boldly, by the end of this century, this planet will be between 5 degrees to 10 degrees Fahrenheit warmer. That is catastrophic. And what that means is more drought, more floods, more extreme weather disturbances, more rising sea levels, more acidification of the oceans, and more international conflict as people fight for limited natural resources. And that is why together, we are going to stand up to the fossil fuel industry and tell them that their short-term profits are not worth the future of this planet. And by the way, while we are talking about environmental issues, we have got to end fracking. There was a piece in the paper the other day. It's not just Flint, Michigan that is suffering from severe water problems. It is hundreds and hundreds of communities all over America. Fracking will make that situation worse. End fracking. I have been criticized by my opponents for saying this, so let me say it again. And that is, health care is a right of all people, not a privilege. Now, the Affordable Care Act has done some very good things, but we have a long way to go. Today in America, 29 million Americans have no health insurance. Many of you are underinsured with high deductibles and co-payments. Is that right? And everyone in this country is being ripped off by the greed of the drug companies. Drug companies charge us the highest prices in the world for medicine, and the situation is so crazy that 1 out of 5 Americans cannot afford to fill the prescriptions their doctors write. That is crazy. And then on top of all of that, turns out that we are spending far, far more per capita for health care than any other country on earth. And that is why, in my view, we have got to move toward a Medicare for all healthcare system. Everybody here tonight knows that in our history as a nation, real change always takes place from the bottom on up, not from the top on down. Real change takes place when millions of people look around and say, the status quo is not working, it has got to change. Change took place 100 years ago when workers who were being treated as if they were animals said, we are going to form a union whether the employer likes it or not. Real change takes place when over the last hundreds of years, African Americans and their white allies said, racism and segregation and bigotry is not what this country is about. We're going to change it. A 100 years ago, women in America did not have the right to vote. But what women and their male allies said is that in America, women will not be treated as second-class citizens. And by the way, what they said is that women will be able to control their own bodies. Ten years ago, if there was somebody in this room who said, jumped up and said, you know, I think that gay marriage will be made legal in 50 states in this country by the year 2015, the person next to him would have said, what are you smoking? Which raises a whole other issue, but what happened? What happened is the gay community, against ferocious hatred and their straight allies, what they said is that in America, people should be allowed to love each other no matter what their gender is. That is how change takes place. And we are at that profound and pivotal moment in American history today, where millions of people are looking around them and they're saying, is it right that so few have so much and so many have so little? Is it right that the United States of America, this great country, is the only major country on earth that does not guarantee health care to all or paid family and medical leave? Is it right that when we have seen in recent years a proliferation of millionaires and billionaires, that we have today the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth? Is it right that in this nation, the men and women who defended us, our veterans, some of them are sleeping out on the streets? So what the American people are saying is we can do much better. And what the American people by the millions are understanding is you're not going to do much better if we go back to the same old establishment politics and establishment economics. Now, I am the only candidate for president who will tell you this truth. And it's not a happy truth, but it is the truth. And that is no president, not Bernie Sanders or anyone else, can do it alone. We need the people who have the power in this country, and that is Wall Street, who has endless amounts of money, corporate America, whose greed has done us so much damage, the corporate media, which determines what we see, hear, or read, wealthy campaign contributors, they have enormous power. The only way that we transform this country and take them on is when millions of people stand up and say, enough is enough. And that is what this political revolution is about. It is involving people, many of whom have given up on the political process, to get involved, to stand up, to fight back for justice. On Tuesday, there is going to be a very, very important primary here in Arizona. And let me tell you the political reality. Political reality is, if there is a large vote, we will win. If there is a low voter turnout, we will lose. So please, on Tuesday, make sure that you, your friends, your family come out to vote. Let us see Arizona help lead political revolution. Thank you.